there, my name is Beck, and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And this is a review of episodes 2 and 3 of the new adaptation of Brave New World. It's led behind the camera, I think, by comic book writer Grant Morrison, or at least he's heavily involved as starring just an incredible cast doing an incredible job. Harry Lloyd, Jessica Findlay Brown, or Brown Findlay. Yeah, again, absolutely incredible cast. I absolutely adore this show. I'm 4 episodes in right now. This is a review of episodes 2 and 3. As soon as I get done with this, I'm just taking the rest of the day off and binge watching the final 5 episodes. It's breathtaking. So, I've been telling everybody to watch this. And the first person who came back to me and said, "What are you talking about? This is, I think this is like completely anti-woke, which I kind of like in this day and age." And the person I told said, "No, it's the most woke thing." And I will agree, 100%. There's lots of gender swaps and race swaps, and it's I would say a liberal adaptation of the original work, but I think it's saying something really, really, really fundamentally important. Like, it's so important, and it's such a critique on such a destructive part of humanity, which is like the crazy people who live on Twitter, the crazy people who live on Twitter, and they like to get together in gangs and publicly shame people. This dystopian future, which they so lovingly and wonderfully craft in this show, is the ultimate realization of these this Twitterati of their goals. They have they've excluded anybody out who is not like them. They have one idea, they have one way of thinking, and that is rigidly enhanced by social pressure. They are constantly on social media. Basically the New London, which is where it's set, there's a pain-free life. It's life with no poverty, with no crime, with no poverty, no crime, no want, no offense. There's no offense. It's like they live a completely stress-free life, but they live a completely meaningless life, and they have to live a completely meaningless life to be able to maintain it. So there are three rules of living in New London. There is no privacy, there is no family, and there's no monogamy. They are all individuals, and they have to remain individuals. And that is basically how I see these people on Twitter who like to clump together in gangs and cancel people and point fingers at people. What I've seen, and again, I'm relatively new to Twitter. I've had an account for a while, but it's the first time I actually used it, and it's vile. People are absolutely vile in every way. And what I think the issue is, they grew up with no ability to cope with any stress, no ability. And because they can't cope with any stress, they can't form human relationships, because you can't have friendships, or you can't fall in love without risking being hurt. It's impossible to. One thing cannot come from without the other, and they live terribly sad. I mean, really, painfully sad, lonely existence of after terror. And I think the only pleasure these people get is in being cruel, which is basically what this is essentially the dystopia where they present here. So I think this is a must-watch TV. Far beyond that, I mean, it's just exquisite science fiction. Very, 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 lots of very attractive people having lots of sex. Jessica Brown Findlay. I mean, she may be a great actor. I mean, she is a great actress. I've seen many, but I'm mesmerized by her. And she's on screen. I can't. She's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen, as is pretty much everybody in this production. So this is a strong recommend for it. This is, I think, one of the strongest recommends I can think of. It's the best thing. It's as good as the first season of Westworld, and I actually think it's quite a bit better than that. I can't think of anything recently that's been this good, and that you must see. Fine. So we're gonna get into the review of episode 2 and 3 in a minute. There's going to be tons of spoilers. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I mean, really, have I been coy about that? Go and watch it. And then come back for the review. Before you go, though, if you've seen it already, you're here for the review. Can I ask you guys, can you hit the subscribe button? That would be fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you. I give away prizes every week or so. The current prize is the Indiana Jones collection. This came out before Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So you got Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, what's the third one? Last Crusade, and this incredible bonus disc of everything you could possibly ever want to know about Indiana Jones. All you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, and really, I am actually genuinely very grateful if you subscribe. Subscribe, and in the comments, leave the hashtag Dr. Jones. Hashtag Dr. Jones. Check the video notes, and it will tell you everything you need to know. Fine, so let's talk about this episode. Episode 2 and 3. I think they have episodes names, but I don't know what they... Mind if I look it up? Hang on a second. Let's just do Brave New World episode guide. Brave New World episode. Because I know the first episode was just called Pilot. Episode guide. Let's have a look. Let's see what it says. Let's see what Wikipedia says. Clicking on it. Yeah, okay. Want and consequences. So want and consequences. This is two of the houses that they visit on this very bizarre vacation they go on. Fine. So at the end of towards the end of episode 1, we have Harry Lloyd Bernard, who is an Alpha Plus, who is like a counselor. He's there to keep people within the correct social framework, make sure they're happy, make sure their levels of soma are correct. And Lenina, the episode 1 starts off with him admonishing her for having a semi-monogamous relationship with somebody for a while. But it turns out that they both are like not entirely happy, and she towards the end of the episode they see each other at one of these massive orgy sex parties, and she sees he's not comfortable at all, with what's going on, and they kind of bond over that. They kind of like actually make a bond, and they don't understand they're making a bond with one another because they've been conditioned their entire life to not make bonds, to not have intimacy. And again, this is the thing I absolutely love about the show. I think it's absolutely fascinating. So they connected together between them, and again, there's this beautiful naivety as they don't know what's going on because their natural human emotions and needs have been repressed through a lifetime of re-education, which started from birth. So they go together. Bernard is seen to be a bit out of sorts by the director, and you find out more what's going on with that later in the episode. He gives them a vacation to the savage lands, where the people who don't live in New London and don't live by their life exist. And it's a real note of Harry Lloyd's performance, which is just an incredibly layered performance. It's wonderful, which we see through these episodes that his assumption of his own superiority because he's an Alpha Plus. He is like one of the highest ups of the highest up, and he's often very wrong. And he doesn't really realize it. On their way to the Rock, he's taking Lenina with him. It's kind of a common thing for them to go on vacation, and Alpha to go on vacation and take a beta with them, for a bit of conjugal pleasure, which they're very mumuch into in this show. So on the way to the rocket, they're flying in their little hover car thing, and by the way, I love they use the word rocket for the transport because it just harks back to that wonderful like 1930s to 1950s, 60s literary sci-fi that this obviously Aldous Huxley wrote this. What was it, 32? That it comes from. And so they're traveling, and they fly through these past these beautiful red clouds around the reclamation center, which is essentially a massive crematorium. So Bernard says, well, of course, those red clouds that come from the red frost fossils they use. But Lenina's a scientist, and she knows the real deeper scientific reason. Something about, I don't even remember. It's too scientific for me to really understand. But I tell you, it's in a nod to Jessica's, Jessica Brown Finley, definitely Finley Brown's performance. She completely sells that she knows what she's talking about. I really didn't have an idea. And being corrected even innocently, as this really was, seems to turn Bernard on, seems to attract him to her. The alpha plus to Lenina, this beta. So Lenina's beaterness is repeatedly rubbed in her face throughout throughout this episode, in the Savage Land. So mostly alphas travel, have the privilege to travel outside the city. And beaters are just normally brought along, much like Lenina here is for sex. That's what they're there for, and not much more. And they really make that quite obvious all the way through. And everyone's like, well, that's my place in life, so yeah, I'm happy with it. We do see throughout the deliberately seedy, savage themed hotel that they go to, but they still retain their conjugal sex, group sex pool. Yeah, that we do see the Lenina being marginalized for a betaness. So there's this social network in Ara, the social network that they're all connected to by this what's it called again? Thing that goes in your eye, a contact lens thing that like gives you data and everything. When you look at everybody, you see their rank. Are they alpha, beta plus, whatever? You see who they are. You know everything. Everything about them from that, and that's how there's no privacy, because you keep this in 24/7, and everybody has access to everything. I think so. When they're in New London, they have this thing, the eye thing, where they can see whoever is. Outside there, it doesn't work. It's outside of Inara's reach, and so they everybody wears a button, like a lapel thing, and you have Bernard has his Alpha plus one, and Lenina has her Beta plus one, and she is very much a second class citizen throughout because of that. And we get another layer of their innocence as the couple, Lenina and Bernard, try and comprehend monogamy. They're trying to comprehend the customs of the savages that they're about to visit, and the idea of saving themselves for marriage. She's reading in the guidebook that on the wedding night she will give the woman, the bride will give her virginity to the husband, and Bernard goes, "What's virginity?" And Lena goes, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, and so there's this deep taboo with monogamy, and it's just a very clear turn on. Like any taboo, breaking any taboo is kind of like a bit of a sexual turn on, no matter what society you're in. And so their own private kinky way, they experiment with abstaining when they get turned on, and they're about to sleep with each other, and they decide not to indulge their carnal desires, which is. I think Bernard's not so happy with like giving his body and touching freely. I think he really craves more privacy. So this just turns him on incredibly. So back at the city, the leader of New London, it's Nina. What's her name? Sasonia. She's playing Mustafa Bond, which is one of the many gender and race swap characters. And that really didn't bother me at all. And I'm actually kind of glad they did, because the people, the Twitterati, haven't worked out that this is a commentary on them because of it. Because like all bigots are baby brain morons, and they look at the world in a very, very simplistic point of view. And so they see the gender swaps and the race swaps, they go, "Oh, this must be good." They don't understand that this show is pointedly talking about the failures of their worldview. Fine. So back at the city, they're investigating the death of an Epsilon, one of the lowest class workers. And Bernard had basically worked out in the previous week when investigating it that this Epsilon had killed himself, which is like a massive they're saying wrong with society, and he's actually the director, the guy in front of him. That's the other great thing. The absolute fear everybody lives on, the fear of being caught, the fear of not being socially perfect, because that will be used against you. There's one of the biggest tools this society can use against you. So Bernard they use that fear to hush Bernard up when he says, "Look, this is clearly." It was clearly a suicide, not an accident. So they're investigating it. The leader's investigating it, and she understands that everybody who has touched the body of the person who plummeted to his death which one Epsilon did, when an Epsilon seemed to have some kind of emotional friend-like attachment to the first one. Whoever touches the corpse, this like personal growth, this personal awakening is transferred like a disease. Which now that puts Bernard in jeopardy, because he too touched the corpse, and maybe there is something to it being transferred as if it's a viral infection, because Bernard himself is going through a bit of a personal awakening, and again he touched him. This might be tied into like a later revelation we learn about 10-20 minutes later, that this trip given to him by the director, what was actually his exile. He was going to be made to be the warden of the Savage Lands for who knows how long. He was taking the previous one, they don't say it implicitly, but the previous one says, comes to meet himself, very happy to meet you, and he says, what you don't know what's going to happen? I said, okay, fine, I'll talk to you later, I'll give you, and he mentions in conversation, the director can be forgetful. He told me I was going to be here for a year, and I've been here for 7. So this exile is going to last quite some time. So, not knowing any of this, Bernard and Lenina go off on a tour of the Savage Land, choosing not to have sex, which again, breaking a massive social taboo, doing it, and feeling a bit kinky and turned on by it. There's a little bit on the bus. They're on this like cranky school bus. They try to make everything look, as run down as possible compared to like the sleek beauty of New London. So there's this little bit on the bus where this arrogant alpha kid tells Lenina to move so he can look at the family, like they see a pregnant woman, and they've never seen it before. It like blows their mind, and in a family unit. So this alpha kid comes on and says, he tells Bernard, tell your beater to move, I can't see. And Bernard then again breaks society norm and reprimands him, and he ends up having to give out soma to a bunch of people because they're so freaked out, because none of them can cope with any stress. This is the Twitterati we're talking about. This is the type of person who, when an election doesn't go the way they want, has a 4-year nervous breakdown. So it's exactly who we're talking about. So there's a great scene in it where they visit the House of Want, based on the title. The House of Want is one of the 4 houses. You have the House of Want, you have the House of Consequence, you have the House of Monogamy. What's the 4th one? Can't remember. I don't think you see it in this episode. So the House of Want shows how there's like not everybody has everything they want, and they reenact one of the savage holidays, the Day of Black, which is actually Black Friday, and they open up the gates of an apartment store, and everybody runs in and starts fighting each other and takes the boxes, and it gets really violent, and all to the titillation of the New Londoners watching safely behind glass. So eventually we get Alden Heinrich, John the Savage is introduced. Somebody, who was it? I think One Bridge 11 told me how to pronounce his name, and then I realised that's actually the name of my former dentist, who Heinrich, not Alden. So I really thank you for that, and I will try and remember to say it. So Alden Heinrich turns up, and he's playing John the Savage, and through him we get a real insight into the Savages, and very much like the denizens of New London, they live in a far from perfect world. Just their problems are very, very, very different. So Heinrich is working on John actually is working on one of the shows that the New Londoners go to, called the Savage House of Monogamy, which shows you how terrible monogamy is. It shows a wedding service of like a pregnant woman getting married, and there's somebody else coming up, and they end up fighting with each other, and they're going to shoot each other, and it's showing you how terrible monogamy can be, and how possessive it can be. So, like, in another display of Bernard's wonderfully deluded sense of superiority, there's a priest that comes up to perform the wedding. He's wearing a bishop's hat, and Lenina asks him, what's he wearing the hat for? And Bernard, without missing a beat, blurts out, protection. He's wearing it for protection. And, I think he actually believes his own assumptions, right? So then the episode takes a massive handbrake turn. And really, if you haven't seen it, at this point, turn off and go watch it. The show takes a massive handbrake turn. There's a As I said, the House of Monogamy show ends with a big shootout, right? And there's an insurgent group that hates the city dwellers, quite understandably, and also hates those who collaborate with them. And I think they got John to replace the rounds with from blanks to live rounds. So when they start shooting, they all shoot each other. There's a bloodbath. So the New Londoners watching have no idea what's going on. They can't comprehend what's happening. Again, it's showing their wonderful, incredible naivety, and they're doing it very, very realistically as well. So Bernard, like most of the New Londoners, just doesn't know what's going to happen. Even when insurgents total up and they start shooting them, it's Lenina that saves Bernard's life by making them run for their lives, and they hide somewhere in the savage buildings. So the episode ends with them hiding out. They're the last two surviving. They're being chased. They're being hunted, and then John finds them. John is obviously not on board with their slaughter for no apparent reason, and he's there to save them. So that's where the episode ends. Episode 3, which is called Everybody Happy Now. Interesting, interesting title there. Is comparatively plot light compared to episodes 1 and 2. But it's like a completely riveting edge of your seat stuff. It's really I just love this episode. I think it's fantastic. So much of the episode is taking up with them running and hiding from insurgents, all whilst trying to keep Bernard alive, who's taken a round in his shoulder. So we meet John the Savage's fascinating mother, Linda, played by Demi Moore. It was great to see Demi Moore again. So Lenina is astonished to learn that Linda is also a Beta Plus, and like her, she came to the Savage Lands with an Alpha Plus who became the former warden and somehow became pregnant, which is the ultimate taboo, the ultimate taboo in New London. And she was eventually left there by the Alpha Plus who fathered the child, who was Alden Einrach, John the Savage. So it's essentially we have Linda, we have John, who's a hybrid of a Beta Plus and an Alpha Plus. So he has a very high ranking or whatever you want to call it, and Lenina and Bernard. So Linda spent the last 30 years pining, like just living in utter misery, pining for a life back in New London, drinking herself into oblivion to cope with a life without Soma, which is just unbearable. Which I kind of like. Soma is what drives their society, what makes their society work. So and Bernard and Lenina, having lived a life devoid of pain and stress, quickly finishes their Soma supply in their terrifying life and death ordeal. As they're being hunted by insurgents, and Demi Moore's Linda will do anything to keep Bernard alive and get him back home, because she knows he is her ticket back home, back to that life of luxury once again. So part of that keeping him alive is she digs the bullet out of his shoulder and goes to a lover, a friend, to help, and he cauterizes the wound by burning a spoon and putting it on there. And it's a great scene. They have to give Bernard tons and tons of alcohol to be able to do it. And he just, again, he plays flawlessly somebody who has been brought up and brainwashed and conditioned to the society, coming to his humanity just so, and without realizing it, so incredibly authentically. It's a tour de force. It really is. So there's this incredible moment of deep truth for Bernard. I'll say for Bernard's character, for Harry Lloyd's character. There's an incredible moment of real deep truth in his drunken and adrenaline rush stupor. He tells Lenina, wildly, madly, but completely honestly. I think he's being completely honest. In Judaism, there's an expression which basically translates to if wine goes in, secrets come out. The truth comes out when you get drunk. Which I can attest to. So he in his drunkest humor, he tells her, "If we survive this, I'll be monogamous with you," which is again the most incredible social taboo and the most incredible display of love for another human being. Which Lenina, right from the beginning of episode 1, is craving, as is everybody who lives in the society is craving, because they all live miserable, lonely, unconnected lives. So yeah, it's incredible. So you have all that fear and alcohol and pain, and that's what's needed to strip away this lifetime of conditioning and get him back to his humanity. And that just makes how the episode ends so much more incredibly tragic. I mean, like, I was honestly, it brought me to tears. It really, really honestly did. So after the lengthy cat and mouse chase, which is great, I'm not going to tell you all the details. It's just fantastic. It's really, really good episode. They make it to the barrier. This barrier is going to evaporate anybody who shouldn't be going through there. As it Bernard Linda wants to know from Bernard, will you be able to get us through? And Bernard says, no, Inara, the social network lets people through. That's the one that decides people can go through. And so basically, I think she's been like stranded out there for the last 30 years needlessly. Couldn't the other Alpha Plus tell her that? No, actually, find out in the next episode that he really couldn't. So yeah, the all present, encompassing social network decides who goes through the barrier. And so Bernard, Lenina, Linda, and John all pass harmlessly through the barrier, where one of the savages just evaporates as they go through, and they make it to the last rocket back to New London. But it's too late for Linda. It's too late for Demi Moore's character. And I thought you're going to bring Demi Moore in. They'll keep her in and have her enjoy being in the city a bit before she died. No, she dies on the flight way home. Again, fantastically realized. They have this moment of weightlessness, which they did in the second episode when Lenina's on a rocket for the first time, and it's really the wonder she has. It's absolutely wonderful. But Lenina is mortally wounded as they escape the battle, they escape the savage lands, and dies on the flight. But the tragic part, the tragic part is the coda when Lenina is at the end, after they get home, they get cleaned up. They have their clothes sealed and marked as savage. They can't touch it anymore. So Lenina is changed forever by this experience. It's the first time she's lived without Soma for an extended period of time, and she doesn't want to go back to being like this Soma-dependent, meaningless life. She doesn't want to go back at all. Bernard, though, for his part, seems to be back to his old self from the beginning of the first episode, maybe even before the first episode. The intimacy between them they built up has vanished, and he's back to speaking to her like she's a casual acquaintance. And again, absolutely tragic. John the Savage is now with them in New London, and he's going to try and comprehend this brave new world of New London, while the denizens of New London trying to understand, look on, detached and bemused as they watch his grief for his dead mother. So again, if I was ambiguous about this anyway, this is a strong recommend. This is the best show I've seen in years, absolutely years. It's Game of Thrones, early Game of Thrones good. It's my strong recommend. What do you think? I hope you watch it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Look, if you disagree with me, God bless you. I will probably be doing a stream with the guy who says he really hates it. So I want to talk this out. My name is Sheila Beckin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.